as your platform assistant this morning. Today's message will be shared by Reverend Stephen Poplin, who is one of our amazing return guest speakers. Many of us know about Stephen, but for those of us who don't, I would like to share a brief bio. Reverend Stephen Poplin is an interfaith minister and a transpersonal hypnotherapist. He has been a college instructor in several campuses on both United States coasts as well as in Germany. Stephen is also a published author and a spiritual counselor with an international clientele. He is known for his common sense, compassion, and humor. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Reverend Stephen Poplin.
Welcome. Today we have the Father's Day program. And here comes the sun. I happen to be a son, but not that sun. It is June 21st, the summer solstice, 2026. The sun is at a standstill, astronomically. It reached its furthest point in the north of the year, and it's at the Tropic of Cancer. And now, today, starting today, it will have that slow retreat towards autumn. So, right now, this is a peak time, an expansive time. It's summertime. And in this phase of solar expression, how can we shine too? I'd like to say that this band is shining. So thank you, Velvet and Tammy and Marion and Mark. And of course, our very own Janice Cusano and Hampton. Thank you. Thank you. They are examples of shining, of sun, the sun shining and expressing. Example of our glorious sun shining down upon us. And so we can shine our love, our expression to those in our lives. As they add to our pleasure, we can contemplate, may we also shine again and add that worth to others. June 21st, but only just 2 days ago, there was another holiday called Juneteenth. And it was striving to shine the ideals of freedom. And so it's a powerful time. And remember that each of us can shine our light. How many fathers do we have today? You can stand up. Fathers, stand up. Here they are. Okay. And who here has had or has a father? Yeah, we just got about everybody there. So there was a few things that I learned from my father. He was not a leader of a band. And he told me, giving me some good advice as I was a wee lad, and he said, always remember you're unique, just like everyone else. And he also told me that if at first you don't succeed, skydiving is not for you. I was a curious kid, and so I asked my father some questions. Why is the third hand on the clock called the second hand? And why, when we say something is out of whack, What is a whack? So my father and I weren't always on the same page, as you might guess. But let's talk about another son, the prodigal son, a classic story. And partly it's the focus is upon that boy who asked his father for his inheritance. And in the Bible, there was no like, oh, well, I don't know, son. Well, do you know what you're doing? He just gave the son the inheritance. And of course, we know about that prodigal son. He went off. He had a good time, I understand. He blew it. And then after a long while, trials and tribulations, he was in a bad sort. And he said, look at me here. I had it really quite nice. And maybe I'll go back. Maybe I can go back. I don't know. So the parable of the prodigal son is one of the tales of Jesus in the Bible appearing in Luke 15. And in this passage, Jesus tells the story to a group of Pharisees and religious leaders who criticized him for welcoming and eating with tax collectors and others seen as sinners. And so he was making that point with the story of the boy, but also like, yeah, you can be lost, you can, go off on your adventures, and then you can say, can I come back? And again, in the Bible, there was no sense of like, so was I right? Did you learn your lesson? He says no. He said, wow, he was lost, but now he's found. He has come back. Let us celebrate. And that didn't go over too well with his brother, because the brother was the one who stayed, staying close, staying to the point, staying on track. But one can leave, one can get lost, and then one is generously welcomed back. And that is like the son coming back. We're talking about, of course, cycles, leaving and returning. And so our sun, now poised and shining in our solstice sky, it also had a very long trip, a year-long trip. Our sun traveled afar, off to winter. Remember winter? About 6 months ago. The sun got caught in a snowstorm, had many lessons, was shocked with politics, came across some serious ice, and then felt a slow remorse, a desire to warm itself again, and slowly again and consistently, closer and closer it has come. These many months here and now, today, the summer solstice, the sun is back. The fullness of the light today. And what a great lesson that is, too. If the great sun can leave, go into the dark, then come back, we can start again. We can drift. We can explore. And the promise of unity is here for us now. And that consistent, better part of us, the good father, caring for the lost son, who is negotiating with his brother, is indeed a story of lessons. But there were other boys, there were other farms, and so maybe a few glades and mountains a little bit further down the way, there was a young son, a young farmer, and he was gazing into the sky, and he was wondering how great God was. He was an innocent lad, and he spoke directly to God. "O Father God, You are so immense. I'm trying to understand your greatness. To you, what is 1,000,000 years? And God smiles upon that innocent boy and answers, my son, 1,000,000 years to me is but a minute. Oh, and the boy was amazed at that, and he says, oh, wow, great God, then what, to you, what is $1,000,000? And God smiles at the innocent lad and says, to me, $1,000,000, that is but a penny. Oh, and the young boy was just amazed at that. How great was that God? And then he asks, God, can I have a penny? And God answers and says, yes, in just a minute. Well, my father also gave me some advice. He's told me, before you criticize someone, you should walk a mile in their shoes. That way, when you criticize them, you're a mile away, and you have their shoes. He also told me, all of us could take a lesson from the weather. It pays no attention to criticism. But let's pay attention to a wise soul, one of my favorites, Ralph Waldo Emerson, a constant source of inspiration and guidance. And he wrote, behold, I am born into the great, the universal mind. I, the imperfect, adore my own perfect. I'm somehow receptive of the great soul, and thereby I do overlook the sun and the stars and feel them to be the fair accidents of effects which change and pass. More and more, the surges of everlasting nature enter into me. I become public and human in my regards and actions. So come I to live in thoughts and act with energies which are immortal. And one can rightfully then ask, very good advice, how might we do that? With effort? And Emerson advised us, nothing great was ever achieved without enthusiasm. The way of life is wonderful. It is by abandonment. The great moments of history are the facilities of performance through the strength of ideas as the works of genius and religion. Earlier this month of June, we had some birthdays. Here's a birthday poem. Roses are red, violets are blue. I am a Gemini, and so am I. Actually, I am a November lad, but I was just wanting to walk a mile in their shoes. When I was young and I hadn't read Emerson, I asked my father, why are a wise man and a wise guy opposites? He didn't answer that, but he did tell me this. Experience is something you don't get until just after you need it. I am a son. I am a son, and there is a son. And you don't have to be a son, a boy, to be a son. Ladies, you are shining. Even on this Father's Day. It takes two to tango and more. So then we ask, though, how bright do you shine? How bright can we shine? Just this last Thursday was the first evening that I saw the lightning bugs. You know, the fireflies, I mean, it's just magic. I went out onto my porch. I sat in the early evening dark and just watched those little dancing, fireflies. They're beetles, I found out. And I was wondering if they're doing their little, enhancing dancing numbers. And I was wondering, are they also playing a tune? Like, this little light of mine? You want to sing the next part, don't you? So, Emerson. What we commonly call man, the eating, drinking, planting, counting man, does not, as we know him, represent himself, but misrepresents himself. Him we do not respect, but the soul, whose organ he is, would he let it appear through his action, would make our knees bend. Well, I've been a fan of Emerson for a long time. I found out that he actually liked his friends to call him Waldo. I can't get myself to do that. But he said, "Teach men that each generation begins the world afresh, in perfect freedom, that the present is not the prisoner of the past, but that today holds captive all of the yesterdays, to judge, to accept, to reject their teachings, as they are shown by its own morning sun." He got that right, our Waldo. But in this next particular piece, he didn't quite hit the mark, I find. "To thy fellow countrymen," he said, "thou shalt preach the gospel of the new world. That here in America, is the home of man. That here is the promise of a new and more excellent social state than history has recorded." Well, as much as I do like Emerson, I can tell from this particular quote that he kind of missed it because he was talking about the home of man, and he left off the woman. And we see what kind of problems we have now. But back to fathers. George Washington is known, of course, as the father of our country, the U.S., us. And then there was Abraham Lincoln, and that light did not last long enough. And then the short streak of a comet called John F. Kennedy. And I can't help but think about the Kennedy Center. And now there is Donald Trump. And to him I exclaim, "Mr. Donald Trump, take down that tarp." And I mention these presidents as examples, as Emerson and others would tell us and instruct us, inspire us. There are people and ideas and songs and examples for each of us. Which ideal would you copy? Which person would you wish to emulate? What are your ideals? I've also been a big fan of Edgar Cayce for decades now, and he was a very sincere Christian Sunday school teacher, and then he would go into a trance and wonders and wisdom would flow through him. And one of the things that he would tell people time and time again, that we do have to have our ideals. And a question that we can always ask ourselves is, what is your ideal here? I was so taken with that particular concept, that question, that ideal, that I made a t-shirt with that on it. But on the t-shirt, I had it reversed, so it was in a mirror form. And I could only read it when I looked into the mirror. I wore that t-shirt out. And then, of course, I would look, and right there, what is your ideal now? A big question. So, the ideals, and how did kind of Emerson put this together? He said, there is one soul. It is related to the world. Art is its action thereon. Science finds its methods. Literature is its record. Religion is the emotion of reverence that it inspires. Ethics is the soul illustrated in human life. Society is the finding of this soul by individuals in each other. Trades are the learning of the soul in nature by labor. Politics is the activity of the soul illustrated in power. And manners are silent and mediate expressions of soul. That was too much to put on my t-shirt. But as for me, I've been seeing more gray hairs. And I'm recognizing the passage of time. Very opposite of those little fireflies, knowing that their time is so short. And I can be privileged, we can be privileged to have our long lives as long as they go. So just about a month ago, I was out in a park, and the sun was shining, and there were flowers. And then a voice came to me. It wasn't my conscience, it wasn't a thought I had. It said, "You're really going to miss this." The canticle of Brother Sun and Sister Moon by St. Francis of Assisi. Praised be you, my Lord, with all your creatures, especially Sir Brother Sun, who is the day through whom you give us light. And he is beautiful and radiant with great splendor. Of you, Most High, he bears the likeness. Praise be you, my Lord, through Sister Moon and the stars. In the heavens you have made them bright, precious, and fair. Praise be you, my Lord, through brothers wind and air, and fair and stormy, all weathers, moods, by which you cherish all that you have made. Praise be you, my Lord, through Sister Water, so useful, humble, precious, and pure. Praise be you, my Lord, through Brother Fire, through whom you light the night, and he is beautiful and playful and robust and strong. Praise be you, my Lord, through our sister, Mother Earth, who sustains and governs us, producing varied fruits and colored flowers and herbs. Praise be you, my Lord, through those who grant pardon for love of you and bear sickness and trial. Blessed are those who endure in peace. By you, Most High, they will be crowned. Thank you, St. Francis of Assisi. And blessed be your day. May you all shine.